So, I mean, we all have questions about different things, whether it's life, relationship, faith, marriage, all of the things. So, who do you ask those questions? Well, you can ask those questions to us. But before we get into all of that, let me welcome you back to my channel. My name is Ayanna, and this is Beyond Committed, where we talk about everything from life, faith, family, marriage, motherhood, and everything between, and we take them beyond. If this is your first time here, welcome, and I'm so glad you stopped by. And to make sure you're not a stranger, make sure you press that subscribe button below and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a video. All right, now let's dive right in. Questions, we all have them, whether it's something you want to know about somebody else, kind of like what's their marriage like, how they get together, or whatever, or you have a question you want an answer to because there's something going on in your life that you want an unbiased opinion from. You don't want your friends or your family, you want somebody else's opinion. So that's what we're here for today. Today is a Q&A with my husband Eric and I, answering some of your questions that you sent in to us at beyondcommitted.com. And we just kind of want to give you our unbiased opinion and the questions I know and I haven't shared with him yet, so you'll get his truly unfiltered answer because he has no idea what the questions are. So this should really be fun. All right, question number one. How did you meet?
How did we meet? So in the context of us meeting, we both went to the same college, but ultimately, Ayanna just happened to approach me one day. We were standing in a group of friends having a conversation, and that was how I would classify our first meet. We saw each other in passing before and spoke, cordially, but we didn't necessarily get to know each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so yeah, we met in college. This is my college sweetheart. I love him to pieces. We went to a historically black college in New Orleans, and one day I saw him in organic chemistry class, and I was like, he's cute. And then from there, it was a series of unfortunate events that kind of happened. But to learn all about those events, why don't you check out our Journey to the Ring video that goes really in depth about how we met and kind of the story and how we got from college sweethearts to him putting a ring on it. Okay, question 2. How do you know if he or she is the one?
Oh, alarm bells going off on this one. So I'm getting ready to say something that I think is a fact from a male perspective. Guys usually know, I'm gonna give it a little bit more grace. 6 months. You've been dating somebody for 6 months. A guy has a pretty good read in terms of where this particular relationship is going. And I mean, that's really what it is at the end of the day. And so, I mean, there could be a number of factors depending upon the season of life that you're in that somebody could be looking for. For me, there have been times where it's like, look, I'm just looking for a friend, somebody to hang out with, have fun, go here, there, whatever. I really wasn't the relationship type. That just wasn't my flow, and more for personal reasons in terms of distractions, wanting to limit that, didn't see an upside. But as you mature, you get older, and you think about life, and you think about just the promise and the power and the covenant of marriage that God has created. It's a huge blessing, and you can begin to see, okay, me and my better half, coming together and what we're able to do together is far greater than anything that I could do alone as an individual. But I also recognize, like, everybody's not called to be married either, right? So I think God kind of calls and gifts you accordingly in terms of your assignment, your purpose, what you need. But ultimately, that's a much deeper view for me today than it was 20 years ago. And I would just say it's like, it's kind of like a relationship barometer. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh, she's cool, and then sometimes somebody could be like checking all the boxes, but like the chemistry is just not there, right? So it's like it is what it is. You know what I mean? Everybody's like, oh, you talking to such and such, blah blah blah, and it's like, yeah, but they just don't do it for you. I don't, and you can recognize all these things. Yes, she's beautiful. Yes, she's brilliant. Yes, she's da 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 da. But it's like,
She's just saying for me.
Right.
And I happen to agree. Because it's so easy to get caught up in trying to make something more than it is or trying to make a situation work. And I think when you start having to do that, that's a clear sign that that ain't the one. Like, I have to make myself feel a certain way. I have to make myself think a certain way. I have to make myself something that is just not there. And it's like, and it's something that I don't think there's like a epiphany moment to where like, okay, he's the one. It's like, no. I mean, but it's like, okay, first off, do you know what you want or what you don't want? Because I would say from personal experience, when I first started dating Eric, I knew what not to do. I knew what was wrong. I knew who I did not want to date, who I did not want to deal with. I knew all of those I did not want. So this list I did not have, but I knew what I didn't want. And then when I met him, it's like, okay, he's cool. He checks these boxes, blah, blah, blah. And we kind of just over time, just, okay, you know what? In the big scheme of life, I could do life with him. I could go through ups and downs, and we did dating go through ups and downs and kind of see, okay, I could do life and I'd want to build a life with him. And within the first, I'd say 6 months, we kind of decided, okay, this is a cool relationship. Let's build on it. Not we were ready to walk down the aisle because no,
Correct.
That's not necessarily
and that's what I was
it
going
is.
to say, right? So, let me be clear. Like in terms of the first 6 months, it's not like, oh, I want her to be my wife. It's, does this relationship have potential to be more than what it is today, to grow towards something that would be a little bit more longer lasting, right? So yeah, it ain't nobody putting a ring on it in 6 months. I hear these one-off love story type of situations, and maybe that can happen, and that's how those individuals are led. But that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, and that's great if it is love at first sight and all those things, and you do see that moment. That is awesome, and that is a divine moment for you, and that is great. But for most of us, it takes a little while to kind of see, okay, what is this about? What do I want? What is he aspiring to? What am I aspiring to? Do we want to aspire to that together? Because it's like he said, you can be a great person. And over the years and through dating and different things, you know a lot of great people. I mean, he would be a great husband or she would be a great wife, just not for me. And that's okay. And accepting that and not trying to make something fit that doesn't is necessary too. All right, so here's a longer question. So, how would you approach a situation where you love someone but you just can't be with them? So, she was in a situation where she loved a man with all her heart but knew that her mindsets were not on the same page and knew that God did not want her to be in that relationship, so she broke up with him in February. She's still in the process of getting over him. There are days when she's good and there are days when she misses him.
Well, I don't have that experience. Like I don't know in other forms. I'm not the relationship type. So Ayanna was like my first real relationship in terms of actually defining being a boyfriend and girlfriend and not a situationship. I was the king of situationships. That's just how I operated. And so in this particular case, it's kind of like the breakup. I don't know. It makes me think more in the context of different relationships over time in terms of friendships and stuff, and just the shift in seasons, right? But to me, this one is a little bit deeper because you're like, listen, I know this isn't who God had for me, right? So then you're just like, oh, you're trying to like be obedient. You want God's covering, blessing, favor, but you're in a situation where it's not right for whatever reason. And now there's, an emotional connection that's there that part of you is probably hurting. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, limited experience for me. I'm probably cliche, pray about it. You know what I mean? Spend time with other friends, family, and kind of grow through this season to heal yourself, your heart, renew your mind, get closer to God, help him to fulfill those voids that have been created now with this man out of your life.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, although I was a relationship person. And so, yes, his situationships was a little deep at times. And it was funny, last night we actually had a conversation about situationship he was in when we got together, which is funny. But in this case, I would say that amen for you listening to God, listening to the prompts, listening to the stop, don't pass go, don't collect $200 moment. Kudos to you for not continuing to collect red flags. All of those things. Because in so many relationships, especially as women, we try to fix things or work around things or not look at things or even when God is talking to you, you're like, well, did you really say that, Lord? But he's a good man. And, you know, he'd be a great husband. But like we said with the one, he just not the one for you. And that hurts. And it's like, why can't he be? We've invested this time. We invested all of these things. But it's like, I remember Steve Harvey saying one day, he was like, on the radio, he was like, okay, you've been in a relationship for 10 years. Well, the only thing worse than being in a bad relationship for 10 years is being in a bad relationship for 10 years and one more day. So we have to just accept that and realize that, yes, it's a part of growing up, but it's also a learning experience for you and growing closer to God and seeing, okay, who does God have for you? What does God really want for you? And later, when the pain goes away, when time has passed and you're not in your feelings about it all the time, you'll realize the lessons that you learned in trying to just do better, be a better woman, so that that man can be a better man for whoever God has for him. And maybe you walking away was what he needed because he wasn't willing to walk away. Sometimes you just have to be the bigger person, and being the bigger person sucks sometimes. It's like, you know, I don't want to be the bigger person all the time. Sometimes I want to be petty, but that's not good. You know, so, you know, all those things. So it's so important that you listen to God. And when God shows you relationships, and I would say not just for romantic relationships, friendships too. Because sometimes you stay in something too long. And when God is showing you, giving you signs that this person isn't best for you, or you might not be best for that person, but you're just trying to make it work, it's so important that you're obedient and listening to God and growing, because God has what's best in store for you. God's plan is better, and it's a perfect one. And when we start to get in our own way, we can sometimes lose some of the things God has for us because we're continuing on a path in which he doesn't have for you. So kudos to you obeying God. And I would just say that draw closer to God. That voice that you heard, that still small voice, or whether he spoke through someone else or whatever the case may be, draw into that and see, okay, what else is God trying to say to you in this season? Because he may be removing you from some things so that he can bless you in other ways and he can show you other things. And this relationship may have been clouding it at that time. And you kind of just needed to step back and grow, and can be in your feelings sometimes. It's okay for you to have up and down days. It's okay for you not to, you know, miss him, because y'all had like events and situations in a relationship that they were good times too. And I think some people get so caught up on everything that was wrong. And then when you have those missing him days, it's because you miss the things y'all shared. You miss the good moments, because not everybody is all bad. He just might not have been best for you.
Be encouraged.
Okay, last one. Are you going to try for a boy after having 3 girls? No. So that ain't even no, that ship is sailed and sunk, and no. Mm-mm. No.
Nope, not a chance. But I always say, you always have to leave room for the Lord.
And it would be
Divine.
Truly the Lord. Okay, like
Yeah.
Nah. So no, I don't know. I think we've.
It's the twin factor.
Yeah, they do something
early
to
on
you.
in our marriage, that was very important to me. The first few years, then the twins came. Once they probably got around 2, 3, the workload was heavy. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'll wait on my grandsons. I'm straight.
Yeah. So we got a dog. His name is Roman. He's the only other boy in the house. We love him to pieces.
Yeah.
He's my stinker buddies. And yeah, that's it. No, this is over. All right, that's it for today. And I want to know, do you have any other questions that you have for us? Drop them in the comment box below. We'd love to hear from you. And also, if you don't want to drop them there, make sure you press that link that you can send us a question directly, and we'll answer your question here as well. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and make sure you press the subscribe button and turn your notifications so you don't miss a video. All right, now, until we see you again, bye.